There's a growing shift within the evangelical church in the United States. Welcome to Freedom Alive. Latinos represent 24% of the United States population. Hispanics continue to have increasing influence on many aspects of American culture, including faith and lifestyle choices, despite what the corporate media may say. Joining us today to talk more about this is Pastor Samuel Rodriguez, president of the largest Hispanic church association in America. I'm thankful to again be joined today by our co-host, Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. And Matt, Liberty Counsel has filed briefs at various state Supreme Courts to support pro-life laws on behalf of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. This minority community, along with black neighborhoods, have always been the direct target of most Planned Parenthood abortion clinics.
Yeah, 86% of all Planned Parenthood abortion clinics are located in minority neighborhoods, black and Hispanic neighborhoods. And in fact, our brief that we filed at the United States Supreme Court in the Dobbs case on behalf of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference and the Frederick Douglass Foundation was actually cited in the majority opinion. And what we focused on is the impact that has occurred within that population. But the amazing thing that's happening today is, particularly within the Hispanic community, and I have the pleasure of serving as the general counsel of the NHCLC, which is the largest Hispanic organization in America, over 42,000 evangelical Hispanic churches, is that there is a transformation taking place. There is a growing influx of Hispanic population across the country. And that population is more consistent with biblical values. So there is a tidal wave that's happening. And rather than be concerned about that tidal wave, Sam Rodriguez is going to encourage us about what's happening in some of the trends of the Hispanic community, not only in the United States, but even around the world.
I love it. I love how God works and mobilizes His army of resources. It's unbelievable. This is a fascinating story. You are not going to want to miss it. Up next is our Freedom Alert.
Blacks and Hispanics seek to stop race suicide in South Carolina. I'm Matt Staver, co-host of Freedom Alive. Liberty Counsel filed an amicus brief at the South Carolina Supreme Court on behalf of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference and the Frederick Douglass Foundation in defense of the state's pro-life heartbeat law. Abortion violates key provisions of the South Carolina Constitution. Planned Parenthood's founder purposely wanted to use abortion to eliminate those populations she considered of lesser value than white Americans. Planned Parenthood claims to offer women's health care services to disadvantaged women, but it's primarily why black babies are targeted and aborted in America 3 times more often than white babies, and Hispanic preborn children are killed 1.5 times more often than whites. We must make the womb a safe place once again.
Up next, Matt's interview with Pastor Samuel Rodriguez.
Well, I'm very pleased to welcome our very special guest and my personal friend, Pastor Samuel Rodriguez. Sammy Rodriguez is the president and CEO of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. It's the largest evangelical Christian organization in the United States with over 42,000 evangelical Hispanic churches. And this particular program that we're working with you right now, Samuel, you're not even in the United States. You are midnight in South Korea, and you were recently in Orlando, Florida, and before that you were in South Africa, and you live in California. How do you keep up a schedule like that?
Well, it's exercise, green tea, a little bit of coffee, and just loving Jesus and having the best family on the planet.
Well, I have the pleasure of serving with Sammy Rodriguez on the NHCLC board as general counsel, and I want you to share with our audience what's happening within the Hispanic community. Let's begin, first of all, with what's happening in the United States and then what you see happening.
The Hispanic community, Matt, in America is not just the now, it's the next. It literally represents the future of America as it pertains to our values, even our political, social, cultural landscape. But the reality is this: the Hispanic American community is the antidote as it pertains to many of the viruses, and I'm not referencing COVID, many of the ideological viruses right now infecting the ethos of our American experience. Let me give you examples. A recent survey: Hispanics are completely departing from the Democratic Party in numbers never seen before, fully affirmed by Gallup, Barna, Lifeway, Pew, even recent polls, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. The Latino community is saying bye-bye to the Democratic Party. Why is that? Because Hispanics are Christian conservatives. Let me repeat that. Hispanics are Christian conservatives. In the matter of fact, in the next 5 years, when you Google Christian conservative, you will automatically find the term Hispanic. We are the most pro-life. We are the most pro-life community in America. That's affirmed by the aforementioned surveys and studies I just referenced. We are fully committed to religious liberty. If there was ever a demographic that was taken back, perturbed, that suffered great angst and consternation, I would even argue acid reflux during COVID, was the Hispanic community. For example, in my home state of California, oh, God bless my governor, bless his heart. In California, he had the audacity not just of shutting down churches, he had the audacity of shutting down home groups, even stating through executive fiat that families couldn't gather in their homes to praise, worship, sing, or even chant. Guess which community was the #1 community that said, no, we will not adhere, we will not acquiesce? The Latino community in California. Hence, you're seeing this mass exodus. Most pro-life, very committed to religious liberty, very committed to repudiating all notions of socialism and communism. How about that? Because Hispanics are going, wait a second, we don't believe in late-term abortion. Wait a second. We don't believe in a secular totalitarian state telling me I can't gather for a worship service in my home. Wait a moment. What do you mean pronouns? We believe in men and women. We believe in boys and girls. I'm sorry. And then, Matt, you want to hear the ludicrousy of the far left? Latinx. What is Latinx? First of all, one of the dumbest things you could possibly do is to cross out an entire community.
Yeah.
Latinx. So Latinos are going, this is way beyond. We don't embrace the woke ideology. We can't stand the cancel culture because we're Christians and we believe in the power of redemption and forgiveness. So what the Democratic Party embodies today is antithetical to the Latino community. Hence, I would argue the Democratic Party is now officially anti-Latino.
Now, in 2012, a poll showed that 9% of the Hispanic community, they were favoring more conservative values or political parties. But now Republicans are favored in 2012 by a massive 56%. So there's a huge shift politically that's happening within the Hispanic community with regards to political issues. But those political shifts that you're seeing and that you began to talk about, those are coming from a grounding of biblical values. Talk about what's happening within the religious community structure in the United States and even around the world with the Hispanic community that is causing this political shift, this value shift as it relates to the external expression of politics.
Since 1980, we have experienced a significant transformation as it pertains to the religious faith narrative or ethos of the Latino Hispanic community. Latinos were vast majority primarily Catholic. After 1980, the charismatic experience, the spirit-empowered movement, other terms would be Pneuma, a Pentecostal, and so forth. This movement impacted Latin America, from Argentina all the way up to Spain. Hence, now, watch this, according to Pew, the majority of Hispanics, of course, are Christian. So around the world, you total up, the sum up the total number of Latinos and Hispanics, including those that live in Spain, all Latin America, and so forth. And we're talking about 91, 92% will self-identify as Christian, but not just any Christian. Spirit-empowered Christian. Spirit-empowered means that they are primarily now either Catholic charismatic, not just Catholic, or evangelical. Very few Hispanics are Episcopalian or Presbyterian. Very few. You'd be hard-pressed to find one. So you're either an evangelical or you're a charismatic Catholic. And because of that, you're seeing outcomes, and outcomes meaning the social political landscape, our worldview, is a manifestation of our Christian worldview. So we're Christians. We as Latinos, we don't view ourselves as Republicans or Democrats first. We view ourselves primarily as born-again children of the living God, as born-again Christ followers. And because we are born again, everything we do defines us. So it's not the color of our skin. So Latinos don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, look at me, I'm caramel macchiato, or I'm black, or I'm a super white latte. No, we don't. We wake up in the morning and we go, we're Christians. We are Christians. I'm a Christian first and foremost. So Sam Rodriguez is a Christian, an American of Hispanic descent, and a diehard Yankee fan. And that's about the pecking, and that's the pecking order. That's and a Trekkie, but the Yankee fans, especially in this season. So that's the pecking order. So Matt, it's our faith that drives us, and that's why you're seeing this incredible shift. And the uber far left is panicking in America because without the Hispanic vote, game over.
I know that there's been some polls, or there's been some discussions regarding different churches that are closing, for example, throughout Europe. And I sent you an article, I believe, that talked about one of those, and it was a dire prediction of the church population closing down. But you have a completely different view of that, because yes, there are certain churches closing down, but there are other churches that are exploding. Talk about that.
Yeah, for every one church that shuts down, and and I say this with great due deference, if for every white church, white meaning, let's say Lutheran or Methodist or Episcopalian church that shuts down, 3 Latino evangelical churches open. So it's just a matter of cultural contextualization. Are churches shutting down? Sure. And they are, in America, they are primarily monochromatic churches, white, liberal, progressive churches. And then for every one that shuts down, 3 Latino churches pop up. So the church is not dying, man. This idea that we're done in America, this is the last generation of Christianity. No, there's an X factor or a wow factor or a redemptive factor. It's the Latino community, without a doubt, not because I think, but just sheer numbers, doing the math. Because the number of Latino churches planted in America continue to grow, America will not suffer this doom and gloom outcome right now of the death of Christianity. Christianity is not dead in America because the Hispanic community is alive and well.
You know, I always enjoyed hearing you talk like this and talk about this issue, because you have used such phrases as that the Hispanic community is the firewall to our values that are under attack. There are some people that look at the Hispanic community and they see all the different kinds of things with the Hispanic community, and they wonder, are our values going to be changed? Are all these things going to be modified? Are all of our cultural values going to change? And yet what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, is that there is a firewall. It is this rising evangelical, Christian, charismatic, evangelical-based, spirit-filled-based Hispanic community, and that those values are biblical values, and that those values will be the firewall to all of these assaults that we're experiencing.
We are the vaccine against socialism and communism. We are the firewall against moral relativism, cultural decadence, wokeism, and the cancel culture. That's who we are. And again, it's not, it's not me exaggerating or hyperbole. Again, all these surveys validate the fact that this community is very conservative. Hence, the angst in the political machinery in America today. There's great tension and great angst because the community is saying, no, we're not going to succumb. We're not going to acquiesce. We're not going to surrender our values on the altar of political expediency.
Now, California, some people write California off. You are headquartered right there. You are pastor of a church there in Sacramento. You're also president and CEO of the largest evangelical Hispanic organization in America with over 42,000 evangelical Hispanic churches, the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, that not only has an outreach here in the United States, but also globally within the Latino community throughout the world, thus all your travels throughout the world. Is there a hope for California? I mean, other people look at California, they think, you know, California's lost. What's going on with it? What's your view of what's happening? What's the future of California?
I do believe, Matt, there's hope for California because of the Latino community. We're seeing Latinos shift more and more to leaving the Democratic Party, becoming independent, but voting, affirming conservative Christian values. So I do believe there's hope for California. It may take 4, 8, 12 years for it to happen, but I can guarantee you this: Latinos in California will not drink the Kool-Aid. And the more we see the homelessness crisis, this idea of no bail, of zero consequences for criminality and egregious malfeasance and nefarious activities, you can literally kill someone and be out with $0 bail. You're coming out, meaning it is ludicrousy. It's craziness. It's anarchy and chaos. And how much more do you think Latinos in Los Angeles and San Francisco will tolerate people defecating on the streets, their children being murdered? How much more? And there's a tipping point, and Latinos will be the tip of the spear as it pertains to the proverbial pushback.
You know, the Latino community is very family-oriented as well, and you can see that obviously with what you experienced in California, where the governor said you couldn't have any worship. That means you couldn't even go to your mom's house. You couldn't go to your brother's house, your sister's house, your sibling's house to have prayer and worship to anoint them. That really is a dynamic that I think is relevant to the Hispanic community, those values and that dynamic, close-knit family structure.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, and you're my attorney, so I have both Jesus and your help. And so there it is. I'm pretty good. I'm going to mention 3 phrases that we're not allowed to mention anymore because they now represent a worldview that is so antithetical to our current cancel culture. Ready? Latinos are God, family, and country. Did I just use those 3 terms together? Am I allowed to? I am so sorry. I'm not even Italian. Listen, it's God, family, and country. I am not kidding you. That's our outline: God, family, and country. And that idea really resonates with us. God, familia, y la patria. And patria means the country, our land. Sure, absolutely. Those are great values to elevate, and that's who we are. And I love the fact that we recognize the image of God in every single individual. I love the fact that we're able to come alongside our African American and our Caucasian brothers and sisters and just look beyond the color of skin and say, for such a time as this, here we are, for the sake of our children and our children's children. So, Matt, you're about to see a parental rights movement with Latinos leading the way across the board. You're going to see some great things happening, not just at the local school district level, but at the local city level, the local county level, the local state level, and nationally, we're already seeing the repercussions. I'm telling you, it's a Latino righteous uprising, not in some sort of weird militancy, but full of righteous indignation, committed to speaking truth with love. You're going to see the Latino community fully mobilized. And Matt, we're not talking about the elephant in the room. So when some of your viewers watch this, the question is going to come up, what about immigration? And I don't know if you saw the recent surveys, again, all of them validated, including the one the NHCLC just conducted. Latinos are vehemently opposed to illegal immigration. We are vehemently opposed. We are the first ones that receive the impact. The fentanyl, the cartels being strengthened. How about this? Little boys and girls being sex trafficked.
Yeah.
As a pastor, Matt, I've literally sat down with young ladies, my wife, with young ladies who were sexually raped, abused, and molested, coming over the border, illegal. So we must stop all illegal immigration, but we do want people to come here if they want to come here legally and to respect the rule of law, and that's the heart of the Latino community. So it's not like we're open borders, quite the opposite. We think open borders is silly. You want an open border? be born again, accept Jesus as Lord and Savior, and when the New Jerusalem kicks in, you'll have an open border.
You know, it's no wonder why the Hispanic population, along with the Black African American population, were targeted so and are continually targeted by abortion. In fact, Liberty Counsel, on behalf of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference and the Frederick Douglass Foundation, filed an amicus brief at the United States Supreme Court in the Dobbs decision that overturned the terrible 1973 Roe versus Wade decision and the 1992 Planned Parenthood versus Casey abortion decisions. And the majority opinion in footnote 41 cited to our brief, and our brief was talking about how your community, how the Hispanic community, how the Black community, from the beginning, when it was sterilization, then contraception, now abortion added to that, has been targeted for elimination by these eugenists, these Darwinianists that believe that they wanted to evolve a superhuman white Northern European culture and eliminate these other, what they considered, inferior cultures. That is demonic from the very pit of hell, and that's why we filed that brief, and I think that's why out of those many briefs that were filed, this one caught the attention of the court, and it was actually referred to in the brief. In the Hispanic community, I think there is what you're describing to us, God's divine providence that is rising up this community to be consistent with biblical values, to be a firewall, and yet that community is still under attack by these abortion clinics because even now, remember you and I, when we joined hands with other Black and brown Christians in Texas, when Planned Parenthood was bringing in the largest abortion clinic in the United States, and where did they put it? Right in the middle of a Black and brown, Hispanic and African American neighborhood.
It is the quintessential example of racism, Matt. If you talk about racism, the abortion industry targeting African Americans and Latinos, it can't get more racist than that. And this repudiation via the conduit of the Dobbs case, and I was so honored, Matt, and through your leadership with our organization, probably one of the highlights of my entire life as a minister, as a pastor, is to be referenced in the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And we continue to fight because they are not giving up. They continue to target African Americans and Latinos. They continue to provide transportation for 11-year-old girls in California to Planned Parenthood centers. How about that? So it is morally reprehensible. It is egregious. Yeah, I would agree. It is completely evil. And we will continue to advance the cause of life.
So how can people get more involved in the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference? I know this is an association of churches, over 42,000 and growing, which represents tens and tens of millions of evangelical Hispanic Christians across the country.
Yeah, so we're not political, but we are prophetic. And there's a fine line between the prophetic and the pathetic. And we will never sacrifice truth on the altar of political expediency. So we are 100% pro-life, pro-religious liberty, and pro-biblical justice. Notice I said biblical, not social, biblical justice. And you could join us by going to our website, nhclc.org, as an individual, as a church, or even as an institution. We have so many colleges and universities, Christian, that are part of the NHCLC, different para-church organizations that have joined the movement. I call it a movement because it really is. It's alive and well. We have 30 chapters throughout America. We message and we mobilize and we equip pastors and lay people to advance the Lamb's agenda in their respective communities.
Any final thoughts and words of encouragement before we conclude?
Let not your heart be troubled. I know we're living in very difficult times, morally speaking, spiritually speaking, economically. There's so much darkness, but here's a final exhortation, John chapter 1, verse 5. Light will shine in the darkness. And I love this promise, Matt. Darkness will never overcome the light. Watch God show up.
Well, my good friend, Reverend Sammy Rodriguez, who is President and CEO of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, thank you for joining us, and God bless you in your many travels around the world.
Thank you, my friend.
Matt, I am super thankful to God that we were able to bring into our viewers' homes Sammy Rodriguez with that interview. That is just amazing. From South Korea?
From South Korea, I mean, he travels all over the world. He lives in Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
But since I'm on the executive board of the NHCLC and Global General Counsel for NHCLC, I get a chance to get a little glimpse of his schedule, and he is everywhere because he's in such high demand as a speaker. He is a incredibly anointed and gifted speaker, but he loves the Lord with all of his heart. And the amazing thing is he can give a glimpse of what's happening with the Hispanic community,
Yes,
Latino
yes.
community, not only in the United States, but around the world, because he lives in that world and he speaks to that world all over the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really encouraging because so many
Very
people
much.
have questions. You know, he addressed so many different aspects: immigration, life, religious freedom, all these other issues, the family, pronouns. I mean, he talked about that and what's happening in the community of the Hispanic groups of people around the world and in the United States, and the changing demography. And the amazing thing, Steve, is how young that Hispanic community is.
Yep.
And that is the community of the future. It's the fastest growing minority community in the United States.
So let's focus on two aspects of that. He described very succinctly Latinos: God, family, country. Right? Yep. How reassuring is that? And then also pro-life, pro-religious liberty, Christian conservative, pro-biblical justice.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, he talks about biblical justice, and he makes an emphasis that he's talking about biblical, not social justice. There is a big difference, and so they are in favor of justice, but from a biblical standpoint, not the social justice idea that you see happening now with the more liberal ideology, the woke ideology. The amazing thing is that there is a shift that he talked about happening globally beginning in the 1980s, and that is globally with respect to a faith that is alive, evangelical or charismatic Catholic, more of a spirit-led, spirit-driven, spirit-filled community that's happening globally, and that transformation of real relationship with Jesus Christ and a vibrant community of believers naturally is affecting the political landscape in terms of how they are transformed internally. Now what they are doing in terms of the communities around them is having a direct impact in a relationship.
The best is yet to come. We are so delighted to be able to bring information and insights like this to you from a person who is so close to these issues as Sammy is, and that was just fantastic. So in closing, remember Galatians 5, verse 1, which says, "It was for freedom that Christ set us free. Therefore, keep standing firm and do not be subject again to a yoke of slavery." Our freedom is a gift from our Creator. We must never forget that and always protect it. So join us here next time where you'll hear victories as well as ways you can stand up for your priceless freedom. Join us again for Freedom Alive.